Addressing a crowd in front of the same old state house in Springfield, Illinois, where Abraham Lincoln delivered his famous House Divided speech, a young Illinois junior senator on February 10, 2007, announced his intention to run for president.
I stand before you today to announce my candidacy for President of the United States of America.
This announcement would go on to herald the beginning of one of America's most historical political journeys. The story of America's first African-American president. But things didn't start here. Obama first got into politics when he attended Occidental College for 2 years in 1979. In his autobiography, Obama says he had many school offers, but made this choice because of a girl he met in Hawaii. This is when Obama made his first public speech in 1981, where he called for Occidental's divestment from South Africa.
When he joined a student campaign to push the college to divest from South Africa on account of the apartheid policies of its white minority government.
After this, Barack transferred to Columbia University in New York, where he majored in political science and studied international relations. In 1988, the still young Barack entered Harvard, where he would get a degree in law. This gave him a newfound political credibility as a constitutional lawyer, and now also a law teacher at the University of Chicago Law School. By 1992, he was married to Michelle and was starting to think of his chance in politics. His chance occurred in 1995 when a state Senate election in Illinois opened. During this first campaign, Obama clinched the primary by filing a legal challenge against his opponent, thus disqualifying everyone but himself. His main adversary and the former state senator, Alice Palmer, was exposed because 2/3 of her 1,580 signatures were invalid, causing her to fall short of the 757 required. The other two competitors also did not have a sufficient number of valid signatures. So, Barack won uncontested. With his over 3,000 signatures filed in the first day, nominations opened, making the official start of his political career. Obama served 3 terms, and then set his sights on a federal Senate position in 2004. He lucked out with one again, as his opponent, Republican Jack Ryan, withdrew less than 3 months before the election. Alan Keyes became the replacement, who Obama defeated in a landslide. After 3 televised debates, Obama won with a 70% margin, the largest state margin in Illinois history. Around this time, Obama delivered his famous 2004 DNC convention speech, widely regarded as the speech which made Obama known to the world. This now iconic moment was the first time many voters would recognize their future president, even if it wasn't for another 4 years. On the Republican side of things, fierce competition was built up around their leadership. George W. Bush served as the president for 2 terms between 2001 to 2009, meaning he was now at his term limit and could not run for re-election a 3rd time. With the decade-long boss gone, the main competitors were John McCain from Arizona, Mitt Romney from Massachusetts, Mike Huckabee from Arkansas, and Ron Paul from Texas. In the aftermath of 9/11, the former mayor of New York, Rudy Giuliani, also became a prominent frontrunner. However, McCain defeated him in the Florida primary, with Mitt Romney in 2nd place. The devastation in Florida was a major reason why the former mayor withdrew and canceled his presidential bid. Things were shaking up good for McCain. The veteran senator had first been elected all the way back in 1986. McCain had decades of experience and established a name for himself in the last primary against Bush in 1999. While Bush won with a 62% margin, John McCain commanded an impressive 31% in second, contrasted to Alan Keyes with 5.1% in third. McCain faced off against Bush, Alan Keyes, Steve Forbes, and others at the 1999 Arizona Republican primary debate, the 99 Iowa debate, and other interactions. After Bush announced in mid-2003 he would run as an incumbent in the 2004 election, he faced essentially no opposition, winning 98.1% of the vote. All of the GOP heavyweights declined to run out of respect for the incumbent advantage. With Bush out of the way in the 2008 debates, McCain was now the natural frontrunner of the party. And surprisingly, Bush's vice president, Dick Cheney, had declined to enter the race. As the son of a Navy admiral and a former Navy officer himself, McCain appeared credible on the Iraq War, which was becoming controversial. McCain's moderate, middle-of-the-road approach was looking to be what the Republicans were looking for. His main opposition was Mitt Romney, and the two tangled frequently in debates.
Senator, is there a way to have this about issues and not about personal attacks? I hope so, because I think we have some differences in issues.
Romney was a Harvard-educated lawyer who co-founded a successful private equity firm, Bain Capital. This left him with a small fortune, reportedly in the hundreds of millions, which, according to the Washington Post, is not much money. However, it proved helpful, with Romney committing over $35 million of his own money to the campaign's $90 million war chest, making it the most out of any other candidate. While initially having a strong showing, with wins in Wyoming and Nevada, Romney faced other setbacks in Iowa and New Hampshire. Super Tuesday is the day where the most primary states hold their elections, making it an important milestone in primaries. After McCain showed strong gains on this important day, Romney would announce the end of campaign just 2 days later, endorsing McCain for leadership. On the Democratic side, competition was even more fierce. During this 2004 election ran for the Democrats with a strong showing at 48.3% of the popular vote. However, Kerry declined to run in 2008, paving the way for a new face. A few faces entered the race at the beginning. Joe Biden, as U.S. Senator from Delaware, initially ran, but withdrew after the Iowa caucus. Dennis Kucinich, a U.S. representative from Ohio, ran with little success, and Bill Richardson, the governor of New Mexico, took a crack at the job too. But ultimately, the primary came down to a showdown between Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. Clinton had a pristine career, seemingly preparing her whole life to be president. She was a U.S. Senator from New York, elected in 2000, and the First Lady to President Bill Clinton at the same time. Clinton was also re-elected in 2006, showing her ability to win elections. However, she lacked the charisma and public speaking skills that Obama had. In their clashes during the debates, Obama would point out how Hillary sat on the board of Walmart, making her look opposed to the average person, and he called her out for having indistinguishable policies from her husband, Bill Clinton.
See their jobs shipped overseas. You were a corporate lawyer sitting on the board of Walmart. I was fighting these fights.
Barack Obama was clearly the underdog all through the campaign season, being the most inexperienced in the group, as well as the first African American to run. Plus, Hillary Clinton had strong name recognition, which Obama did not yet possess. Nonetheless, Obama leveraged his online support and support with the youth to surprise many pundits. The race was incredibly close. Obama won 2,275 delegates to Clinton's 1,978, and the popular vote was just around 41,000 votes apart, a ratio of 48.1 to 48%. On the 7th of June 2008, Barack Obama became the presidential candidate of the Democratic Party. But winning the party's primaries doesn't automatically guarantee you a seat in the Oval Office. With the primaries now behind him, the real contest had only just begun. It was now Obama against McCain. Barack Obama was campaigning on the theme of change, a fitting choice as the younger, more inexperienced option.
There's something happening when Americans who are young in age and in spirit, who've never participated in politics before, turn out in numbers we have never seen because they know in their hearts that this time must be different.
Whereas McCain brought decades of experience in politics, McCain represented more of the status quo. The famous "Yes, we can" slogan was quite popular among the young generation of Americans who at the time were just becoming more interested in politics.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Obama needed to appeal to the working class citizens. After months of consultations, he was convinced that Delaware Senator Joe Biden was the right man to be his running mate. And so, on the 23rd of August, he announced Joe Biden as his vice presidential candidate. A decision that saw Obama gain a tiny lead in the polls over his Republican opponent, John McCain. However, McCain stole some of Obama's shine when he announced Governor Sarah Palin of Alaska as his preferred running mate. While now controversial, Palin was a rising star in the GOP at the time. The Democratic and the Republican parties were, however, not alone in the contest. Ralph Nader, an influential activist and author, ran as an independent, while the Constitution Party, Green Party, and Libertarian Party ran members across the country. The two-term incumbent President George Bush had become increasingly unpopular, both at home and internationally. Numerous polls indicated that Bush's approval ratings were low, and in an attempt not to undermine his party nominee, Bush rarely appeared in the McCain's campaign promotions. At this time, the former president didn't have much electoral value.
President Obama, I am not President Bush. If you wanted to run against President Bush, you should have run 4 years ago.
The Iraq War proved to once again be a key issue, and a large amount of blame was on Bush for honorously claiming there was WMDs in a pretext to launch an invasion. The war against terrorism was ongoing, and many were divided on the approach favored by George Bush.
War in Iraq.
John, you like to pretend like the war started in 2007. You talk about the surge. The war started in 2003. You said we knew where the weapons of mass destruction were. You were wrong. You said that we were going to be greeted as liberators. You were wrong.
From the onset, Obama opposed the war, while Senator McCain was in support of the initial decision to attack. Senator Obama proposed that U.S. troops be brought back home, and if necessary, sent to Afghanistan, which to him was more important in the battle against terrorism.
And when I am President of the United States, we will end this war in Iraq and bring our troops home.
Throughout the campaign season, Obama and McCain continued to disagree over a number of major issues like healthcare, taxes, security, environment, foreign policy, and others. On several occasions, McCain tried to distance himself from some of the unpopular policies of President Bush, but Obama made it a strategy to point out that as Senator McCain had in fact voted with Bush 90% of the time.
Your president, who you said you agreed with 90% of the time, who presided over this increase in spending.
In the months leading to the election, several news outlets were reporting an economic recession. Given the economic downturn, voters were very interested in both candidates' economic policies. Senator McCain once again made comments regarding the economy that saw him lose points in pre-election polls. In an interview with Politico, the senator said he was uncertain of the number of houses he and his wife owned and would have to ask his staff to get back to the interviewer. In another interview, Senator McCain said that to be considered rich, one had to have an income of at least $5 million. The Obama team wasn't going to go easy on the Republican senator, not when they could smell an opportunity. They once again pounced on this and other of his economic statements to portray McCain as a politician who was out of touch with realities of the ordinary citizens.
Somebody asked John McCain, how many houses do you have? And he said, I'm not sure, I'll have to check with my staff. So they asked his staff, and he said, at least 4.
0. You won't pay
Zero?
a fine because as I said in our last debate, I exempt small businesses from the requirement for large businesses that can afford.
Another area of debate was on the topic of John McCain's age. Senator McCain turned 72 in August of that year, and many considered his age a liability against the more youthful Barack Obama. The Republican nominee also found it difficult lifting his hands above his head, a condition that was a result of his captivity in North Vietnam. But, to ease concerns and counter rumors, McCain made his health records public to show that he was indeed fit. On the other hand, Obama was young, and his use of a BlackBerry phone also made him quite popular among the generation of young Americans, especially since his Republican opponent had previously admitted that he didn't use a cell phone or computer. In no time, he had the bulk of the country's youthful population screaming, "Yes, we can." Nonetheless, McCain had a reputation as a reasonable and dignified candidate. He famously told supporters that Obama was a decent man, even with fans of his booing him, showing the respect that can exist in politics.
I have to tell you, he is a decent person and a person that you do not have to be scared as President of the United States. Now, I just...
Obama took a healthy electoral win in the election that took place on the 4th of November, 2008. The Democratic candidates got 52.9% to the 45.7% of his Republican counterpart. Among older voters who participated in the 2004 election, the votes were evenly split. Obama's majority was built around first-time voters who took to the polls in their numbers during the election in 2008. Many of these first-time voters were young Americans or of African-American descent. In the Electoral College, Obama easily defeated McCain by a margin of 365 to 173. He won all the traditional blue states in the Pacific Coast, Northeast, and Great Lakes region. He also won some previously red states like North Carolina, Virginia, Florida, Ohio, Colorado, and Indiana. Voter turnout for the election was rather high, as a total of 131.3 million votes were cast. This was more than the 122.3 million recorded in 2004. Obama recorded more votes than any other presidential candidate in history, breaking the former record of about 62 million set by George W. Bush in 2004. At 11 p.m., as the polling was concluded on the West Coast, all American networks called in favor of Obama. Half an hour later, Senator McCain conceded defeat in a speech he delivered in his hometown of Phoenix, Arizona. Just before midnight, Obama delivered a victory speech to his cheering crowd of supporters at Grant Park, Chicago. In his words, "If there is anyone out there who still doubts that America is a place where all things are possible, who still wonders if the dream of our founders is alive in our time, who still questions the power of our democracy, tonight is your answer." With his victory, Barack Hussein Obama made history in becoming the first African-American president of the United States of America, overcoming Hillary Clinton in the primaries and defeating McCain in the election. Thank you for watching. If you found value in this video or you learned something, subscribe and like the channel. Click the video on the screen for another great election video.